Came back out and he said, well, she made it through that. But now she's bleeding from somewhere. And we don't know where the blood's coming from. And the way they done that, of course, it's just like you do a heart catheterization. They went up through her leg. They didn't have her cut open. But she was bleeding from somewhere. She had chest tubes in. And as fast as they was pushing blood in, the blood was coming right back out the chest tubes. And he said, we can't stop the blood. And we don't know where it's coming from. And he would go back there and he would work on her for a little bit longer. And then he'd come out and tell us a little bit more. And we was back there praying. There was probably 20 of us back there in this. They had us in this little room. And we was praying and Dr. Vincent would come out and he had blood all over, Megan's blood all over him. And I'll never forget his clothes. And he would say, it's just not working. Blood's not slowing down. So is that whenever I asked Mom about them? So then my dad's been gone for 17 years, but I remember my dad used to always tell us about a verse in the Bible that you go to bleed to death. And I asked my mom, I said, what is that? And she said, it's in my Bible, I got it marked. So we got her Bible out and my pastor went to it and he read it. And Gene likes to read this verse to you. Do you have it marked already?
It's what it is Ezekiel 16:6. And I wasn't real familiar with it, but I had faith in God. And you just can't read this and expect something to happen. You have to believe it. You have to have faith in God. You have to know that He'll move. And I want to read it for you. It says, and when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yes, I say unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live.
And my pastor read that, and we got down on our knees, and we was praying. I mean, praying like we had never prayed before. Before we started praying after we read that verse, we was praying before that, and I said, the Bible says to speak it as if it's already done. I mean, I wasn't just calm. We was crying and everything. And we was hugging each other, and we was praying. And I said, let's just speak it like it's already done. And I was saying, thank you, God, for her first day of school. And then he would say, thank you for her first bicycle ride. And then I would say, thank you for her first steps. Because she was just 14 months old at this time. We was going back and forth. And he, thank you for her first skin knee. And we was just thanking him for everything, for her prom and her wedding and things that's way yet to come. And then we prayed this verse about her bleeding, and we've been praying for about 10 minutes, and Gene got up and went out in the hallway. And I was still on my knees, and I was still praying. And I heard him yell out, oh, thank God. And I jumped up and I ran out there, and he was standing there talking to the cardiologist. Well, let me tell you this first. We completely skipped over this part. Before we read this, the cardiologist let us go back there. He said, y'all can come back and see her. I said, can anybody else come back? Because there was like 20 of us there. And he said, no, just the parents. And we stood up to go back there, and he said, no, everybody just come on. Because he in his mind, he knew this was it. He said, we're going to have to cut her open. He said, we're going to have to call the heart surgeon up here, cut her open, figure out where the blood's coming from. So he let us all go back there, and he showed us on the ultrasound machine. He had the ultrasound on her, seen it on the big screen up there. There was blood going everywhere. You could just see blood pumping out of her from everywhere. And the heart surgeon was there. He was getting ready to cut her open. And every single one of us that was there went up there and kissed her and said a few words to her. And Gene went up there to her and he said, Megan, I know you're tired. And if you want to go on to be with the Lord, you go.
And then I said, but if you want to stay with us, I said, just talk to Jesus. I said, it's your decision.
He said, you just have a little talk with Jesus if you want to stay with Mom and Daddy. But if you want to go on and be with Him, you go on, and we're okay with it.
Because we know she had been through so much, and it didn't matter how much we went through. She was tired. She was just wore out. She gave it her all. She had a fight like you wouldn't believe. And I wanted her to be at peace.
So we went out, and my brother and somebody else carried me I don't even know out of that operating room. And that's when we went back and we prayed this prayer. And I heard Jean yell, "Thank God," and I jumped up and I ran out there and I said, "What's going on?" And the cardiologist said, "I don't know what y'all are doing back here, but you need to keep it up because that blood just stopped instantly." He said, "There is no earthly reason why that blood should stop." He said, "She is on blood thinners and she's on ECMO." He said, and he threw his hand straight up in the air and he said, "I promise you that was divine intervention." He said, because we had nothing to do with it. And this reminds me, they told us afterwards, we wasn't back there, but the nurses told us afterwards, the nurse said that when Dr. Canner came in, who is the heart surgeon, he said, at that time, we was back there praying the prayer for God to stop the blood. And the nurses, and this, I always say that this reminds me of Abraham and Isaac, because the knife was on her chest. And Dr. Canner told Dr. Benson, he said, "Drain her blood one more time before I start." And Dr. Benson, who is a cardiologist, he went to drain the blood and he said, "There's nothing coming out." And Dr. Canner said, "Look, I just now," he is a renowned heart surgeon. He said, "I just now had the ultrasound machine on her chest. She's bleeding. Drain the blood." And Dr. Canner, or Dr. Benson tried it one more time and he said, "Dr. Canner, I promise you, there's no blood coming out of these chest tubes. She stopped bleeding." And he just couldn't explain it. He said, "This is the," and that, if you would have known Dr. Benson before this happened and after, it was just a complete transformation. Even to this day, he calls Megan his miracle. He was just amazed.
They tell us that when the blood stopped, said everybody just kind of looked at each other. They said you could have heard a pin hit the
They
floor.
couldn't believe it. So they came out and they said, "Y'all go downstairs and take a break," and we still don't think she's going to make it through the night. Her heart's too bad. They said, "We'll come and get you in about an hour. We'll get her upstairs and get all the blood cleaned off of her and y'all can come see her," because they still did not think she was going to make it through the night because the heart was too bad. So we went downstairs and it had been about an hour, and they always told us if a heart ever came in, they introduced us to the transplant coordinators. There was 2 of them. And they said, they'll be the ones that come and get you if a heart ever comes in. By this time, we had been at Ableston for 2 months, and we knew everybody there. These 2 doctors, who I have never seen to this day, I do not know who they are or where they came from. They came down and got us, and they said, "We need to talk to you by yourself." And, well, we thought she was gone. And I said, "Can my pastor come with us?" And so they let him come with us. That was Harold Petit. They let Harold come back there with us, and they said, "We think we found her a heart." And I was waiting for her to tell us that she had passed away. And I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, the cardiologist has to go look at it. The heart surgeon has to go look at it. And if it's a good heart, then, you know, we've got her heart." And right at that very minute, we stopped what we was doing. We went back all by ourselves. We didn't take our pastor, didn't take nobody. Found a hallway by ourselves, and we prayed for the donor family. Because we knew for Megan to live, another child just died. And that's something that we struggled with when they told us she needed a transplant. We didn't know, as Christians, if it was right. And we prayed about it, and I said, "Lord, I'm going to put it in your hands. If it's meant for her to have a heart transplant, then you're going to be the one to send her heart. Because I'm not going to be the one to pray for a heart." We never, ever, ever pray for Megan to get a heart.
You can't say
Can't do
pray for another child to die just so yours will live.
We-
That's just greed.
We prayed for her healing, but we never prayed for God to send her a heart because we didn't want another child to have to die. So he said, the heart surgeon's gone to look at the heart. He said, "But I'm going to tell you before we go in to put her heart in." He said, "When we go into surgery, the surgery itself will take about 8 hours. When she comes out of surgery, her chest will be open. You'll see the insides of her chest." And he said, "She'll still be on the ECMO when she comes out because her lungs are still just like wood." And he said,
She'll be on a breathing.
and she will be on an oscillator instead of a ventilator, which shakes your whole body, so it can shake her lungs and get her lungs working again. So they got the heart. It was good. They took her back to surgery, and the surgery team was just phenomenal. And they would call us every 30 minutes or so and tell us how the surgery was going. And Gene always tells about whenever they.
Well, I would be the one to answer the phone every time. I mean, it was stressful on both of us, and I thought I'd just go ahead and do it. And they would call up and they would give us details about every little thing that's happening. And I don't know how many phone calls it was, but I think the worst one for me, they called up and they said, well, said the heart is here. Said the old heart is set out and off to the side, and we're getting ready to put the new heart in. And as a parent, I mean, it snowballed me. I pictured her, my child, 14 months old, laying there with just an open chest, no heart, no life, no nothing. That just kept running through my mind. And then they called back and they said, okay, the new heart is in. And I said, how's it going? They said, it's great. They said, usually when we put a new heart in, we've got what they call jump start it, to get it pumping. They said as soon as they connected the new heart to Megan, they took all the wires off and it immediately started pumping on its own. They didn't have to do anything to it.
So when they came out, he said, Dr. Tanner said to us, he came out in 4 hours, not 8. He said that surgery only took 4 hours. He said, I was able to close her chest. She's off the ECMO. He said she sailed off that ECMO machine. And he said she was able to go onto a regular ventilator. He said her lungs, her kidneys, and her heart, every one of them started working. As soon as they got that heart in, everything went right back to normal, right there on the operating table. They did not have to put her on an oscillator. She was on a regular ventilator. Everything went perfect. And they brought her out, and of course, you know, we had to wait a while before we got to go see her, and we thought everything is good now. You know, she's got a heart, and we're going to get to go home, and you know, we knew we had to deal with the heart transplant, but we thought, you know, everything would go good now. And but they did tell us, they said, you know, you're going to expect some rejection because every transplant person has some kind of rejection. We have to tweak the medicines until we get them right. She's going to have some kind of rejection.
And they explained to us that everybody has these rejections. They said, don't worry. What we'll do when she has a rejection, we'll bring her in and we'll just adjust the medicine and everything will be fine. And I'm telling you, the heart transplant coordinator, Alex Berg, and this woman is a godsend. I could not have made it without this woman. In the hardest times when things are really going bad and you're thinking, she's not going to make it, Alex would step in and say, look, very, very calm, very calm. We'll take care of this, we'll do this, we'll do this. I mean, she is just awesome. I don't know what we would do without her, especially me.
But to side note, all the rejection things, she's 9 years old and she's never had one episode of rejection to this day. Never, ever. Never had to, ever had to have
They
that
even told
problem.
us one time that's not normal.
It's not normal, it's Megan. They said she's wrote her own book as she's went, but after she got her heart, 2 days later, they called us back upstairs and they said, we have another problem. And we thought, oh gosh, here we go again. But we thought it was the heart again. They said she's got some kind of brain damage. They said it's where she's went into cardiac arrest and she lost all that oxygen. She does have brain damage. And at some point while she was on that ECMO, she had a stroke. And so they started letting her wake up, and we began to see how bad the brain injury was. And it was severe. Her pupils wouldn't respond. It was like she was in a coma. If you're looking at the pictures, you probably see how bad the brain injury was. Her tongue stayed out of her mouth. Her pupils wouldn't respond to light.